In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we're going to help you work out how to recruit for free. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. Today we've got a real interesting one. You're wondering why on earth I'm talking to a recruitment consultant about how to recruit people for free. Welcome to the show, Josh Wood. How are you doing, Josh?
Hi, Ian. Yeah, good. You?
Yes, very good. Thank you. So thanks very much for coming on the show and also helping us prep for this show. And Josh he'll explain in a minute who he is, what he does and who he helps. But I met up with Josh at a recent CompTIA conference. Like the guy, loads of energy. I said, you need to come on the podcast. We need to have a chat and a crack. What can we talk about? And he said, I'm going to teach your audience how to recruit for free. And I went, but isn't that what you want to get paid for? So before we get into the detail there, Josh, tell everybody, who are you, what do you do and who do you help?
Hi, yeah, my name's Josh. I work for Beaumont IT and we're an MSP specialist recruitment agency.
Fantastic. So the conversation we were having before was recruitment agency. Very interesting. Yes, we need right people. We need the right people in the right jobs. Is there a skill shortage? I don't know. Do MSPs struggle with marketing? Absolutely. Is recruitment a bit like marketing? Absolutely. So hang on a minute, we've got a bit of a synergy here. So we've talked about recruitment before. I'm going to shout out an episode a little bit later on that we've done previously, which was a really good show. But today we're going to talk about how to get people recruiting for free without any agency fees. Now, just explain your theory behind this, Josh, before everyone thinks we've gone absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, before my boss bursts into the room and takes a hatchet back to the back.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So these sorts of information is what I take a lot of my customers through. And recruitment is kind of similar to an MSP in a way. You provide a value, you provide a service, which a lot of it is saving time or cost savings in a way. And so whenever I onboard a new customer, we go through these steps with them in terms of what we don't want to be is an expensive CV sifting service, if that makes sense. Right. Just the same as you don't want to be the cost center to a business. You want to be that value partner. You want to build some trust with them.
Absolutely.
You also want to provide value in that you're not just doing the low hanging fruit. I like speaking with engineers and recruiting engineers and finding those really tough people. There's no point in me going, oh, if I throw a job ad up and I get 100 people and I'm just sifting through that and I'm doing work for you that you could do yourself quite quickly, quite easily. Well, I'm not earning my fee there, really, am I? You're just paying for my time. So that's where this comes from. It does put people on the back foot a little bit when you say, all right, have you tried this first? Let me just, we exhaust all the options before you come to me. Because, I know recruiters, like a lot of salespeople, there's a tendency to really want to sell.
Yeah.
Basically.
Why do MSPs find it so hard to recruit technical people? What gets in the way?
That's a very large question, to be fair.
It's my show and I can run it as long as I like. So just,
There is a combination of factors. At its bare bones, MSPs within the kind of the wider IT talent community have this kind of unearned reputation for being really busy, work you like dogs, and you never absolutely. Get a social life. And busy is fair. I think probably the fairer way of saying that is it's faster paced. And unlike an internal person who knows every nook and cranny of the network and knows every sort of exception to the rule of everything, you do have to be thinking on your feet. So that does draw a certain type of person. But as an industry, the MSP doesn't really do a lot to get rid of that impression. And you see it all the time. Job adverts must have MSP experience, must be doing this. And there is a great value in someone who's been there, done that, got the battle scars. But at the same time, it doesn't do a lot to the kind of the bright people in other IT fields that would be a value add to the service, to the employer, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes we have lots of conversations pretty much every week with our clients on, I need to recruit someone. Okay, who do you need to recruit? And as soon as you get them, it's like, okay, so you don't know who you need to recruit. How can you, I know we're not touching the questions here that we've got that you've prepared for. So lovely to put you on the foot. How can an MSP, when they get busy,
Yeah.
In your opinion, what's the best way for them to work out who they need to hire next? Because so many will go, from a cost point of view, I'd like to bring in an apprentice, but they don't understand that the cost is actually involved in a lot of time and
Yeah.
expertise in training that apprentice. I can't afford a full level 3 tech. Okay, what's a level 3 tech anyway? Lots of conversations about that. We've got some big project work coming up, and I'm going to get, and they end up kind of catastrophizing this whole team basis, and then they get stuck in this mist, this thick mist. How, in your view, can an MSP simplify who's the next hire?
So there's a couple of ways of cracking that nut. The kind of, I think the easiest, and if you're on that kind of, you're at the 1 million point where you perhaps you're wearing a lot more hats. You need to look at, okay, what's the kind of work we're winning? You say you got projects coming up. What kind of projects? Does the ticket volume look like? How quickly are those getting through those tickets? How, and also what level of the tickets are there? Is there? Because quite often when you do that kind of analysis, you actually see our first liners are kicking a lot of tickets up to second. So I can spend a half day working with them, increase their knowledge on some simple
Yeah.
things, reduce that escalation. Then the second line is not quite so busy and I can concentrate on that lower level. So oftentimes recruitment is actually a training issue with some businesses. The other side of it is as I don't know, a lot of the businesses that are doing well at recruitment and are kind of get ahead of the curve, not just, oh my God, everyone's falling off, all my engineers are screaming at me,
Yeah.
and the ticket queue is getting massive. They have a formula for certain number of users, certain number of endpoints. That's realistically what X level of tech can handle. And then so that it is literally just led by the sales funnel, the sales pipeline as a whole. We know we got this many heads, 100 heads coming in next month. So we're going to need to start recruiting, knowing it's going to take us a couple of months to then get another engineer. So by the time that customer's onboarded and all the the nuts and bolts of kind of fixes are done there, and it is just back to day operation, we know we're then at the point where we're going to cope with the income, the load. So so it's a systems and a process thing, doing recruitment well, which won't surprise you, but it often does surprise owners.
No, it doesn't surprise me. But I think the thing that I love about what you just said there is that this is a training issue most of the time. How many people, because I literally had this conversation last week with a client and I said, have you got a skills matrix of who is doing what? And it's, and they're working towards, I said, but they might be working towards their accreditations to tick the red boxes, amber to green.
Yeah.
But is that what you actually want? And is that what you actually need in the business for what's going up? Because it's all very easy to say, I'm going to give you the training, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But if you don't feed the training and if you don't use those skills, then they're never going to adopt those skills, build on those skills and excel at those skills, rather than if you've got someone working on, I'm going to say something now I'll probably regret, but if you've got someone who's working on some like Microsoft Dynamics, like Power Appy stuff, and then they get trained on it, but they never use it, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And we just said that everyone's busy. Have a look at what you need with the training issue. You might actually find you could stop listening to this podcast right now because you might not need anyone. You might just be a bit of a training issue and you might just be able to go back. But then what will happen is when you do come back and listen to the second half of this podcast, you'll know exactly who you need, why you need, and what they're going to do, what that role looks like. And you're going to be so super specific. So let's get into the model here. Go on.
Just a quick ad,
because
I think it's helpful. Ask your engineers where their skills are missing as well. It's really easy to look at the 100-foot view and go, we're missing this, we're missing that. But actually your engineers will have a really good input into, these are the tickets I don't like doing because I feel like I'm out of my depth, or I see more of these tickets, I need more here, or that input is important. A customer of mine did say to their engineers recently, what are the problems you come to me for? Because those are the problems you're going to need to train them to do. So that realistically,
so
as an MSP owner, you don't want to be touching those tickets. You want to be either working project work or going and selling more work and winning more business.
So the MSP has done all that. They've reviewed it. They've spoken to their engineers. They've understood. And there's a need for them to recruit. What do? Do they just pick up the phone to a recruitment consultant and say, hey, deal with this, and then send me a really big fee for someone who may or may not work very well? What's the free version of doing this? We've got 3 steps here we're going to run through now. So what's the first one we've got, Josh?
The key one is advertising well. There are a number of decent advertising websites that will allow you to advertise a role for free or for cheap. Indeed, Glassdoor being notable ones.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people listening will probably go, yeah, I stick an advert up on Indeed, and I get 300 or 400 people apply, and I don't get anyone. Or if I do, I'm really settling for someone that we've really got to push into the role. And a big part of that is actually advertising your job properly. A job advertisement isn't a job spec that we don't just copy and paste out of the HR folder that we created when we wrote the business.
Shock horror.
Yeah, it's an advertisement. It's a piece of marketing. You need to be able to talk about what makes you different, about why people would want to come and work for you. Progression is a great part of being in the MSP world as an engineer.
Yeah.
But it's more than just, oh, well, we'll pay for your certs, or, hybrid working, or what other kind of perks the job you've got. It is about what we're going to support you to do, the atmosphere of the business. Are you a big, close-knit people? Do you like going out? All these sorts of things are things that you as someone who works within the business will go, yeah, that's just part of working with us. But actually, these adverts are going out to people who don't know anything about you. Or if they do, they'll know what their mate's mate has said because they knew someone who worked there once.
Yeah.
A good written advertisement about what it is to work at yourself should set the picture of how fantastic your business is, the kind of the cool customers that you work with. You working with creative customers, mention that. These are all draws. Or if you're working with real engineering, manufacturing customers, you're the backbone of industry. You make the people that make things work from an IT perspective. We so much concentrate on, you've got to have this certification, you've got to have so many years at M365, which is fine and is a valid part of it, but it should be bullet points at the bottom. It should not be the kind of the grand total of your job advert is, here's what I want, not here's what we can give you.
How can people stop the flood? I don't know many people who want to go through 400 CVs. Most of them are because the candidate's just gone, that looks all right, bosh, that looks all right, bosh, bosh. And I know we've mentioned Indeed and Glass. We recently used Indeed to recruit. And I found some of the tools within it. This is gonna sound to you guys just like the bloody PSA conversation where you buy something and you don't use all the buttons and the bells and the whistles. But there were some really good aptitude tests. One that I actually went through, it was quite hard actually. It was the English test. But some of these tests that they've got already built in can help you. If you've got 400 candidates, it can help you to sift down the people who want to stand out, who want to be noticed rather than that. What are some of the tips that you would suggest using to reduce the number of candidates or button pushers that we've got so that you've got some really good quality people that you can spend some time reviewing?
So it's funny, isn't it? Because as a recruiter, I would want to go and see all the applications for the diamond in the rough.
Yeah,
I've got 8 hours a day to spend doing this, so I appreciate that you are. This is, if it at best is in your after hours, whilst you sat with a beer trying to go through them on your phone. So I appreciate it's a different skill set. Screening questions are quite good, so I'm fairly sure Indeed allows you to do it. A lot of job sites do, but the key to using screening questions is not yes no answers, but is written out answers. So for example, do you drive? Change it to how many years have you been driving? It's all these things which stop the push button. I'll just apply to that. It's within my location, it's within my salary range. Stop getting people to stop and think about it and do that will dissuade some of the people. There is, if I could find the foolproof way to advertise in a way that you only got the candidates you want, I'd be making loads of money selling advertising training, to be fair. It isn't foolproof. One of the things that I do, and I've had customers do, put your contact number on the bottom and get people that are interested to reach out. From a candidate perspective, they want to do as much to reach out to you as you want to stand out to you as you to them. Have a way for them to get in touch with you.
I think the screening questions is great. So you could ask a question like, tell us about something that really excites you about your current role or you're looking for. And then when you're going through the applications, if people haven't put anything in there, you could pretty much just discard them because they haven't been bothered to put anything in there or anything like people. If people are not going to go over and above trying to send themselves. This English test I was joking about with Indeed, it came up after because some people had just submitted it and it was like, what is this? And I was sitting there literally, I don't think I was having a beer, but I was sitting there talking to the wife about it. And I said, I'm going to have to apply for this job to find out what this is because I didn't know this happened. And it happens after you've submitted your application and it comes up and says, would you like to stand out from the crowd and take this other test? And it was like, yeah, so we did it, but it was afterwards. So I then turned it to everybody who filled that test out went through to the next level because they went over and above. And it's got to quite good. And also you've got down here, advertise on your website. This is one thing that just always gets overlooked, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's because, let's be honest, job boards make it easy to advertise. It's all streamlined. It's very much easy. Whereas sometimes you're going to have to go and ring the person that designed your website to go and figure out, how do I do this again? Because it's a bit archaic, but it's free advertising. It's free search engine optimization for yourself. If you're going down that route as well, it's another way of people to come into your website. With word of mouth and referrals being one of the great way to do business, it's also a great way to have candidates. So if people are looking for IT jobs in location and your website pops up, brilliant. You've just hit people to the website and got them in free.
Hit the nail on the head. And it also shows as well to your customers that you're growing and that the business is moving in the right direction. So the candidates filled out all the information. They want to come and work for you. So that's the first step. What's the next step we need to focus on to work out how we can recruit for free?
Social media is a great tool. And as Gen Z are more and more entering the marketplace, this is going to be their first stop. A lot of businesses are already using it as a marketing funnel, but a lot of us that are salespeople or business owners look at LinkedIn, look at social media as this is a marketing tool, this is a sales tool, this is going to bring more people to my business. The candidates are also there as well, because especially LinkedIn, as a recruiter, a good amount of business and a good amount of candidates come from direct outreach and also the stuff that I do on LinkedIn. So when you're looking at your marketing work and you're looking at what you're posting on LinkedIn, it's really easy to be talking about the cool things you're doing, the achievements your team have been, and just give a great picture of what it's like to work there. It's free sales pitch as working for you as a business. And it works on the other side as well. Your customers and potential clients are going to look at this and look at the kind of the posting that you're doing about so-and-so's just gone and done a charity run, or we're going out and doing this interesting thing, or we're going to go out and watch Silverstone F1, what have you. They're going to look at, it's a thriving business that looks after its people, and it humanizes you. It takes away that kind of corporate sheen, and customers like that. There's the old adage that people buy from people, and it's the 1 or 2 posts a week, a month, depending on how quickly or your posting schedule, about how good your people are, how great it is to work for you. And it doesn't have to be, I'm Mr. Business Owner and look how amazing we are. It's just celebrating the accomplishments of your employees does wonders for your candidate attraction, for your business development, just selling you as a business in general.
We got to remember, LinkedIn was originally a recruitment website, wasn't it? That's what it all started off at the beginning, was for people to find people who were looking for jobs. If you were on LinkedIn, you were on LinkedIn because you were trying to get another job, and it's, what are you doing on LinkedIn and all of this. But that's probably where I am starting to show my age a little bit now with that. But I'm an absolute advocate of what you just said there. The business profile, build it, build a brand, build the culture, let people know what it's like. If you've got some funny things going on, new vans, people going on holiday, company barbecues, all of that kind of, and staff achievements as well, shows that you care about those people. So it's another place for them to go and see, which I think is a really great shout. Third point we've got down here is got all these hundreds of candidates coming, and I've seen so many times the interview process revolve around me. Oh, they're going to be brilliant. Great. What did they say about this? Oh, I didn't ask them that. What about this? Oh, no, they're starting next week. They're really good. And it was like, God, that interview went well, didn't it? And it was like, you didn't even ask any proper questions. So I am an absolute advocate for having a structured interview process. That's where if you can align it around the values as well, then that gives you a good experience. But what's your view on how do we structure this process better? How do we really get the best out? Because you're spending any time with anyone, it's money, right? It's money. Yeah. If you've got a 30-minute quick chat with someone, make sure. Tell us, Josh. We're flicking it around the other way. What do we need to do?
Structure is so important. Everybody should have the same interview process. There are customers that I've worked with before, who've said, "Oh yeah, we just get them in for a coffee and have a quick chat," which is, as you say, is the business owner telling them about everything that they've done. And they just have a great conversation, and the candidate's gone, yeah, they don't really speak very much, but yes, it seemed all right. I always say half the interview should be skills and qualities based. When you're looking at what did we want from an engineer, when you put your advert together, when you put your job description together, you should also be putting out what questions can we ask to get that information out of people. So that there should be a component of that, and it needs to be job specific. If you've got loads of networking, you're going to need to know their understanding of network protocols, what they're working with, etc. There's no point in asking them M365 cloud-based questions
Yeah.
because they might not be able to answer.
Yeah.
Aptitude questions as well, in terms of what their personalities, what are they proud of in their work, and what do they do when they struggle. I always like the question of, if you don't know how to solve a problem, what do you do? Correct answer is I go to Google, and if I can't find Google, I go and speak to another tech. But it's you're not trying to catch people out, but you are just trying to. I always advise my customers, you want to get an idea of what their diagnostic skills
Yeah.
are, because that's at the heart, especially at service desk level. That's the heart of what
Yeah.
they're doing. And then there should be an opportunity for them to ask questions, and in a more conversational style. It shouldn't be, right, we've got 5 minutes left, is there anything you want to
Yeah.
know? And there should be an element of you selling the business to them. There should be, here are the things that other people have done. Here are the careers we've grown, the businesses that we've supported, and the perks. You should be really using that as an opportunity to hammer in the work you did in the job advert, to talk about how
Yeah.
great it is to work with you. It is, again, you want to be like a sales conversation. You want to be wrapping around to the positive things. You want to leave them on at the end of that conversation, like, we've had a great conversation. All my questions were asked, and I've got a really good idea about what it's like to work with them. I think it's really important. And that bit is the last 10 minutes. Is there anything you want to ask? Let me tell you about what we can do for you.
Is it still a candidate's market?
Oh,
it keeps changing, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And I think it's a normal market. I think we all had a bit of, especially as business owners, shell shock in 2022, where it felt like all your engineers were leaving every 5 minutes for big pay rises.
Yes, a lot of big businesses throwing some money around, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I work in the north. The majority of all my customers are in the north, and so London all of a sudden went, we can pay them. We don't have to increase the pay, and we can pay them better. So let's go on a rampage. It has normalised the expectation of most people work hybrid in MSPs.
Yeah,
in my experience, obviously big businesses is a little bit different, but the salaries have normalised, and so you're back to geographic candidate pools.
Yeah.
And it's not a candidate's market, but you can do that. Use some of these tricks, and you can really stand out to the candidates that you want. Is probably the best.
Because it's not just about they're applying to you, so they're all waiting for you to tell them whether or not they want to go, whether or not they're gonna work for you or not. T is the fastest growing sector, and it will be for the next 10 years. So that means there's going to be a lot of moving around. And if you've got good people and you want to keep hold of them, then that's a whole different podcast you want to be listening to. But to find the right people to start with is really important. What's your view on how many interviews should you have? What sort of length should they be? Should they be in person, even if it's a hybrid role?
It really depends on the business. I always say, unless it's a senior appointment, 2 interviews is usually enough, because you've got to be as respectful of their time as they need to be of yours.
Yeah.
What I would normally advise, if someone said to me, I don't have a defined interview process, I would say a 30-minute or a 15-minute screening chat, just to be, can we get on? Is this person who they say they are? Have they turned up in a tie, in a shirt at least? Over Teams is a good option. Second option, I know a lot of businesses now really like the in-person interview, and there you get more out of a person. You get to see them less comfortable, more in working environment mode. The downside of that is it makes your interview process go longer. It does. It drags things out, especially if you're seeing 3 or 4 people for the same role. And then with time comes the danger that you'll lose people to other options, other opportunities, that side of things. So it is always a balancing act. And I think the best people are the ones who are the most flexible. This is the standard process, but if we get someone good, we'll break that process, and we'll make sure that if it has to be a Teams, we'll do that just so that we can see them this week. If we come to offer them, we can have them come in to see us and meet us in the office at a later stage.
What's your take on technical tests? When should they be done, and how long should they be? And can you recommend a system or things like that? Because some people they either do nothing, they do a technical test, or they bring them in the office and test them out for a day, don't they? Half a day, things like that.
Yeah, it's really dangerous is the wrong word, but it's a difficult thing to ask a candidate to do, is to give up some more time to what will look like to them, do a bit of free work, even if it's a structured technical test.
Yeah.
I've always been a big proponent of, if you need technical testing, to incorporate it into that long proper interview, whether that is we'll sit side by side with the team, one of our engineers, and we'll work on a problem or do something, but have it as part of that interview process. Don't go, right, okay, we had this long conversation, we've had the pre-screening chat, so before we make a decision, we'll send you this test, go and do it in your own time, because it really begrudges people, even if they're aware of it, because it's their time you're taking up to save you time. Which is going to it doesn't put the people off that you want to put off, if that makes sense. The people who are going to smash that test and be a real value add usually are the ones that are going to take umbrage to it.
So be clear about it. Let them know up front. Let them know how long it's going to take, what the process is going to look like, and so that they're really clear at the beginning on what it looks like. Because if they want to be out, then they'll be out a little bit sooner, won't they? Before
Absolutely.
that,
saving you time. It's not the right fit.
Great stuff. Good. Just before we bring it in for a bit of a landing, I just want to remind everybody about episode 164 of the podcast, which was with Meg Fenny, and she went through a great process on, you found the right candidate, now what do you do with them? How do we engage them? How do we build them in? What do we need to do? How do we make them feel loved and get the best out of them? Meg's an HR expert and really great shows. Go and check that one out. The link for that will be in the show notes below. Josh, love it. You managed to do it. You've managed to help people to work out how to recruit for free. So if you are looking for people right now in your MSP, what advice have you got for them as they come straight off this podcast?
It's follow the 1, 2, 3s, really, isn't it? Advertise correctly and start building that social media presence, which isn't going to happen today, but subsequent hires will really add value, and structure that interview process so that means that the time you spent finding and qualifying these people isn't wasted when you get them in the office.
Brilliant stuff. Josh, as I said, thanks very much for helping with the show today, sharing your knowledge on this. If people want to continue the conversation with you, how do they find you? What do they need to do?
The best way is on LinkedIn, because I am terminally online, like a lot of my generation, which is Josh Wood. Or you can reach out to me directly via email at josh.wood@beaumont-it.co.uk. Otherwise, all the contact details are on our website, which is beaumont-it.co.uk.
Fantastic. That's great. We'll put all of those links in the show notes as well. So look, good luck with all you guys at Beaumont. I look forward to seeing you popping up at various events throughout the rest of this year. And great show. Thanks a lot, Josh. Take care now. Hang on a minute, just before you go. And if you're curious about how this episode links with the ability to scale your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, accelerate to 5, then we want to invite you to come and take the MSP Mastery Quiz. And in just 3 minutes, you're going to get a 360-degree scan of your business where you can identify the 1 or 2 tactics that can help you find more time, engage and align your people, and help generate more leads in your MSP. It's really simple. Just click on the link in the show notes. And if you have enjoyed this episode, we'd love to get some feedback from you by means of a rating, review on Spotify or iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. We really appreciate every single one of them. Now you can go and enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to catching up and connecting with you soon. All the best now.